All right, so as you know, we're just going to have a little conversation here. And if I can start, obviously we're hearing about how exciting this is. Mr. Khan, why don't you begin here? This seems like a dozen years or so in the making. I know we've talked about it's 4 years since this really started happening. How do you feel today about this?
No, I mean, I feel obviously great. It's always fabulous to, see something come together, plan come together, and it's taken a lot of work. But I think, this is an inflection point, I think, not only for the Jaguars, but I think even for the city of Jacksonville. We need this. I think we need the power of NFL to really work for us in the city, as someone that unites us and, helps us move forward.
Mayor Deegan, growing up here in Jacksonville, seeing this thing get across the finish line has to be an exciting moment for you.
So exciting. I can't tell you the pride I feel in my city right now. I love this city so much, and the fact that we have been able to put this together not once but twice now to make sure that we have this team here bringing us all together, giving us a rallying point, being an ignition into what we want to do downtown and the rest of the city. Very, very proud today.
Yeah. Was there a sticking point? Was there one challenge that came up in these negotiations? Because obviously there's some give and take. What was the thing that maybe held it in the balance that it wouldn't happen?
No, nothing. There was nothing.
No, I think if there's a will, there's a way, and and I think this is proof of that. You have to have give and take, I think, but eventually, I knew very early on that, it's a small market, you need public-private partnership, and, the city wanted to work, and we had to do our part, okay, to use, the city's money wisely and, get a return for it. And I think early on when we did, the scoreboards and the renovation, kind of resizing the stadium, frankly, you think about the tarps, that regrettably, there was a stink to it, for lack of a better word. And, we had to get rid of it, how to do it creatively and do it nicely. So, the city was working with us, and it was a great sign that, together we can make it work.
I think the other thing too, and I want you all to really know this, that every time we talked, regardless of what the topic was or what the issue was we were working through, he would always say to me, I want you to do what's best for the city. Do what's best for the city. Yeah. And that was always, we both approached this with the attitude of we want what is best for each other and for the community. And just like in any relationship, that's a great recipe for success.
Now that this has gotten across the finish line, the next step is the NFL owners meeting. Yeah. You talked about some of the challenges of getting this deal done, but just how different maybe is this deal from some of the other stadium deals that have been presented at those meetings?
Well, there are no two stadium deals that are the same, okay? So, there are many elements to it. I think I just want to jump ahead and say I feel good, I feel optimistic. I've had the privilege of obviously knowing the owners and serving on some of the committees. We have some work to do, but I feel good.
The terms of the agreement, I think, is what some of us were looking at. Mayor, you mentioned this is a really good deal, and initially seeing that it was 55, 65, or 45, and the split there, we're wondering, do the other NFL owners, do they think that maybe you're taking on too much, that the city needed to contribute more in this case?
Well, I think, you have 32 owners, there are 32 opinions, okay? Right. So I think it's like, so we have to go with what we think works for us and then solicit support for that. And that's really how things work.
I think too, the other thing is that I think the Jaguars had seen some of the challenges with the initial lease where they didn't have so much control over certain things about maintaining the stadium and making sure the stadium was, and and this is not an indictment of anybody, but cities aren't great at maintaining their own facilities. And so that was one of the points in which we really were able to very quickly come to consensus, because the Jaguars wanted more control over that process, so that they made sure that remained a state-of-the-art space to make sure the fans had a great experience. experience. And of course, we want that because we want to be able to not only enjoy these wonderful NFL games, but to attract good concerts and all the other wonderful things that come with having a world-class facility like this. So there were some things that just made sense. But I think, again, I think that if you look at other agreements out there and you look at ours, I think you really see evidence here of a true partnership. And I think that's what we all really wanted to come to, where we came away from the table feeling that we had a true partnership. Yeah. And you know, honestly, we wanted to keep our NFL team. They didn't really have to do that, but they did because they wanted what was best for the city, and I think that speaks volumes.
And speaking of what's best for the city, you mentioned that early on in the process, wanting this deal to be about more than just a stadium, but something that the entire community can benefit from. The community benefits plan kind of separated from this. How confident are you that you'll be able to get that across the finish line? And how beneficial will that be for the community if it does?
Well, I'm very confident. Look, I think having this stadium completed is a huge benefit for the community. But in terms of those needs, those things those pressure points that keep us from being the great city that we can be, things like affordable housing, our homelessness issues, our workforce development issues. We all know we need more workforce in Jacksonville. Think about all the projects we have going on now that are going to be going on for the next several years. We need to develop the workforce. That's important. The historic East Side is the neighbor to the stadium. We need that community to be successful. So I think it all makes sense. It's also the right thing to do. And I really believe that when council gets back in July, we're going to get that across the finish line.
So both of you in the news conference earlier talked at the signing ceremony, talked about, okay, we did it again is on the promotional material, if you will. But it's also, you're saying, hey, don't doubt Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe this is that inflection point?
Better correct him, Shad. Go ahead.
Do you
Never
feel like
doubt.
this?
Never doubt.
Do you feel like this is that inflection point too? Because having an NFL team can boost some esteem for city residents. But is this where you take that next step, City of Jacksonville?
Yeah, you know, I think, again, actions speak louder than words, and I think there are a lot of actions here. And so to me, what's really important is, you know, we put it to greater good, and people are going to do whatever they're going to do, okay? I mean, I remember a couple of years ago how many times, well, some of your colleagues would say there'll never be a Four Seasons in Jacksonville. Okay, wasn't that kind of ridiculous? And now that you look back at it, heck, their flagship, I've owned it for 8 years. They're out of Toronto, okay? And so it was like, I don't even want to get into a debate because it's such a ridiculous thing. And how many tweeting went on? I have friends in commercial real estate. They say it'll never happen. I mean, so, you know, when you have a lot of that, and really that's noise you have to ignore. I think what we have to do is work with the city, work with the communities, and keep moving forward. I'm hoping it's just, you know, I'd used, you know, 10 years ago, whatever, that Mojo example, okay, that was very uncomfortable for a lot of people, but I just, you know, that's before I got a course in PR. You know, so the mayor said it about the issue of, you know, local self-confidence. I mean, this should be boosting it up, and then eventually, you know, the vision the mayor's had, I think, north side of the river with the parks, with the stadium, you know, with the Four Seasons, on and on and on. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to speak for itself, and it's going to result in, you know, a little self-esteem, you know. So, and I run into people from Jacksonville all over the world, you know, we're just walking on a street, and I mean, they have a huge amount of pride. I'm there, you know, which is awesome, but, you know, we want to see it in action now. So.
And at the signing, you talked a little bit about the architecture of the stadium, saying that was kind of maybe your nighttime hobby.
Yeah.
How involved were you in the designing of some of the renderings, maybe tinkers here or there?
A lot. Yeah. Okay, so I think, you know, the process was we had all these, you know, I've been to a bunch of venues, and really we want a no compromise stadium, but bang for the buck. Okay, and so it shouldn't be, and you know, there are many examples. I mean, we accomplished, it's a great, comfortable environment, ecologically friendly, responsible, aesthetically pleasing. You look at an image of it, you know, you look at the Eiffel Tower, you know where you are. You know, you look at this image, you know where you are. So I think, you know, a lot of those came together over the last 5 years. Yeah.
Final question. You mentioned, hey, staying optimistic, and that from the beginning of owning the Jaguars, so we got to find a way to make it sustainable. So third mayoral administration you've worked with here in Jacksonville. Have you accomplished that goal to make the Jaguars sustainable for the long term? And how did you stay optimistic when other projects, Lot J, whatever, didn't work out?
Yeah, because I've had a lot of failure in my life. Okay, so I mean, I had a life before, here with the Jaguars, and a lot of that wasn't on the sports pages. It wasn't in the newspapers. Okay, so you're kind of used to it. It's like football. You get up, you dust yourself off, you get ready for the next play. Okay, and you can't worry too much about that. So. But I felt, I used to come here, selling bumpers many years ago. So I knew the area and, loved the vibe, that great weather and great people and, Blunt Island and all those places. I mean, Jacksonville used to be the largest importer at one time of pickup trucks from Japan, obviously it changed. But and then, you meet the people, you engage with them, and it's like, we're going to make it work. So.